A new year doesn't fix everything. I know people like to pretend it does. New calendar. New dates. New posts. Fresh start. New chapter. This is my year. But if you're being honest with yourself, you already know the truth. You didn't wake up magically lighter on January 1st. The weight didn't disappear at midnight. The memories didn't reset. The tiredness didn't ask what year it was. You carried it with you, quietly, like you always do. And maybe that's why you're here right now. Not because you're excited about the new year, but because something inside you feels heavy, and you don't know where else to put it. Let me say this slowly, because it matters. A new year doesn't fix everything, but it can change how you carry what didn't break you. You've survived a year that asked more from you than people realize. You smiled through conversations you didn't have the energy for. You kept showing up when disappearing felt easier. You stayed strong not because you wanted to, but because someone had to. And somehow, that someone was always you. People look at you and think you're fine. You don't complain much. You don't fall apart publicly. You learned how to function even when you were empty. But functioning isn't the same as healing. And surviving isn't the same as living. The problem isn't that the year changed. The problem is that you never gave yourself permission to stop carrying everything alone. You kept telling yourself, just get through this. Just one more week. After this, I'll rest. But rest kept getting postponed. And now here you are, entering a new year, already tired. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you've been strong for too long. There's something nobody tells you about strength. If you stay strong without softness, it slowly turns into exhaustion. You don't notice it all at once. It sneaks in quietly. You stop reacting to things that once mattered. You stop expecting much from people. You stop hoping, not dramatically, just carefully. And eventually, you confuse numbness with peace. But numbness isn't peace. It's just pain that learned how to stay quiet. This year isn't asking you to become a new person. It's asking you to stop abandoning yourself. Not with big resolutions. Not with loud promises. But with one honest shift. Instead of asking, how do I fix my life? Ask, what am I still carrying that was never meant to be mine alone? You've been holding on to things out of loyalty. To people. To past versions of yourself. To expectations that never really fit. You stayed because you hoped things would change. You tolerated because you didn't want to disappoint. You carried responsibility because you were capable. But being capable doesn't mean you're obligated to suffer quietly. Somewhere along the way, you learned to minimize yourself, to make room for everyone else's emotions, to stay calm so things wouldn't fall apart. And now you're entering a new year with a heart that hasn't rested in a long time. Listen carefully. The new year isn't about adding more. It's about putting something down. Putting down guilt for choosing yourself. Putting down the belief that you have to earn rest. Putting down the habit of explaining your pain just to make it valid. You don't need to prove you're tired. You don't need permission to slow down. You don't need to justify why you're done carrying what drained you. If this year gives you one thing, let it be this. The courage to stop pretending you're okay just because you're functioning. Because deep down, you don't need motivation. You need understanding. You need space. You need something gentler than pressure. And maybe, just maybe, this year isn't here to fix everything. Maybe it's here to finally let you breathe again. If you're still listening, that tells me something important. It tells me you're not here for noise. You're not here for hype. You're here because something inside you is quietly asking for relief. Not escape. Not motivation. Relief. There's a difference. Motivation tells you to push harder. Relief tells you it's okay to stop pushing for a moment. And you've needed that for longer than you admit. You didn't lose yourself overnight. You were slowly buried under responsibility, expectation, and silence. Silence is the part people don't see. You didn't scream when things hurt. You adjusted. You adapted. You told yourself, it's fine, even when it wasn't. And the world rewarded you for that. They called you mature. Strong. Reliable, but nobody asked what it cost you. So you learned something dangerous. That being needed was safer than being honest. That holding everything together was easier than asking for help. That if you stayed quiet, you wouldn't become a burden. That lesson followed you into this new year. You don't enter it excited. You enter it cautious, because part of you is afraid that nothing will change. And another part of you is afraid that if things do change, you won't know who you are without the weight. That fear makes sense. When you've been carrying everything for so long, letting go doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like danger. Who are you if you're not the strong one? Who are you if you stop fixing, saving, understanding everyone else? Here's the truth nobody says out loud. You don't lose yourself when you rest. You find the parts of you that never got a chance to breathe. This year isn't asking you to become softer in a way that makes you weak. It's asking you to become honest in a way that makes you whole. Honest about what drained you. Honest about what you tolerated too long. Honest about what you no longer have the energy to carry. And that honesty will change things quietly. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But steadily. You'll start noticing how your body reacts to certain people. How some conversations exhaust you before they even begin. How some expectations feel heavier than others. That awareness isn't negativity. It's clarity. And clarity is the beginning of peace. You don't need to announce your boundaries. You don't need to justify your distance. You don't need to explain your healing. You just need to stop betraying yourself to keep the peace. Because peace that costs you your sanity isn't peace. It's self-abandonment. This year, you're allowed to choose differently. You're allowed to say no without guilt. You're allowed to rest without earning it. You're allowed to want more without apologizing for it. And most importantly, you're allowed to stop carrying the past into every future moment. You can honor what you survived without reliving it every day. You can learn from pain without letting it define you. You can move forward without pretending it didn't hurt. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means loosening your grip. You've been gripping life tightly because you were afraid everything would fall apart if you didn't. But here's something gentle I want you to hear. Some things are supposed to fall apart, so you don't have to hold them anymore. This year won't fix everything. But it can teach you how to live without constantly bracing yourself. It can teach you how to wake up without immediately feeling behind. How to breathe without guilt. How to sit in silence without your thoughts attacking you. That doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from being kinder to yourself than you've ever been allowed to be. You are not broken because you're tired. You're tired because you've been strong without support. And strength without support always turns into exhaustion. Let this be the year you stop proving how much you can endure. And start choosing how you want to live. Not loudly. Not perfectly. Just honestly. You don't need a new version of yourself. You need a rested one. And maybe that's the real beginning. Not fireworks. Not big promises. Just a quiet decision to stop carrying what no longer belongs to you. If you made it this far, it wasn't an accident. It means you're ready for something gentler. And that's more than enough.